You ready? All right. Well, welcome in. All right, Mike Bozich, along with our Producing Association, welcoming you to kind of a mini edition of our Wager Warriors segment. We are going to take a look at the four big races coming up today, a little bit later on at the Downs at Mohegan Sun Pocono, as well as the big four races coming up tomorrow at Harris, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Sire Stakes Finals for the 2 and 3 year old pacers and trotters. And I'll tell you what, Seth, it's always a fun time of year, and certainly with the way things have been this year, we are very grateful that we're actually talking about racing, actually talking about Pennsylvania Sire Stakes, because up to a couple of months ago, I know things were in pretty weird waters with the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah, certainly a very interesting day, but it should be a very fun day of racing. Of course, the Downs of Mohegan Sun Pocono at 12:30 post time. Their Pennsylvania Sire Stakes events start in race number 9, and consolation races will be leading up to that. The 2-year-olds in action today at the Downs of Mohegan Sun Pocono, and we'll kick things off with the 2-year-old Colt and Gelding Trotters in race number 9. There is a trainees, Captain Corey and Fly Light. And I'll tell you what, Seth, you've been around horses, drawing horses. You've had, training horses, conditioning horses. And there's only really once in a great while where, at least in my opinion anyway, a horse just physically jumps out at you. And Captain Corey, in my opinion, is one of those horses. And I remember when I first saw him on the racetrack, when I first saw him qualify, when I first saw him race, I was like, gee, money, this horse is going to be really, really special. And Seth, so far, no, and he's drawing post position number 3, so it's a good draw for him. I'm just really excited about Captain Corey. I think this horse could go on to do real, real special things, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of time he could post today here at the Downs at Mohegan Sun Pocono. By the way, I don't want to kind of interrupt the flow, but you mentioned you had all the changes and pretty much in the tables that are scrunched. One horse I do want to mention in this particular race, and once again, it is a horse race. It's not raced on paper. It's raced on the racetrack. So, and horses are athletes that have good and bad days. So, if Captain Corey isn't firing at his best, the horse that kind of jumps out at me is Arnold and Dickey. Now, I'm not crazy about the fact that the horse made a break in his last, at least raw speed wise. He is the only other horse in this particular race that has shown that he can go sub 155, and he did that 2 starts back with a 5.5 length, pretty convincing win. And he seems like he gets along, well, with the exception of the last race. It seemed like he gets along very well with Dave Pallone, and you've got Hall of Fame trainer Chuck Sylvester. And I think if this horse can fire his best shot, I don't want to say he can beat Captain Core, but I think he certainly has a chance to be close. The 3 starts back at Harris, Philadelphia, he just got too far off the pace, and Captain Corey got away with a 32nd second quarter, and the second quarter on the lead. He's very tough. Credence in that race. I think Dave Pallone will put him into play early, and maybe he could be a bit of a price play in your exactas and tries behind it. Colt and Gelding Pacers will take the dance floor in race number 10. This, Seth, a little bit more of an open race. It's a very interesting race in the sense that you have 2 of the big contenders in this race drawing so poorly. Always the Mickey and Chase H. Hanover, and I think there's very little forwardly placed off the wings. And if that's the case, I think this gets set up for a real lively clip. And I think that could really play into the hands who, in my opinion, has really found his form. I mean, he does have a couple of X's in his lines, 1-2 starts back. And what kind of is concerning about that is they're happening at odds as break at the three quarters or at the top of the stretch when they show break lines there. I think that's a little bit more concerning than when a horse breaks at the start. So buyer beware on there, but I do think the pace dynamics in this race have the ability to set up for the racing style of somebody like Southwind Gentry. Mm-hmm. I you know what, you mentioned Bayfield Beach, and I really I've got him circled. I don't know if you guys can see that. See, I'm still the old school, Seth. I still use I went down to the this morning and printed all this stuff out. So I'm still old school with the pen and paper. But um, yeah, Bayfield Beach is certainly interesting. I think Andy's going to have to get a little creative. I mean, if the 8 and 9 leave, I mean, this is going to leave him kind of an eighth early on, and I don't know. I think he's going to have to be just a little bit closer than that. But I like the qualifier at Hoosier Park. I mean, when a back half in that in that qualifier of 54-2, that certainly jumps out at me. And his two starts after that in Pennsylvania Sire stinks. One of them I think you could throw out because he was in post position number 9, no striking position at all against the likes of Chase State Channel. His effort 2 starts back was good. I mean, he is a very capable closer, and you're going to get good odds on him. So, I mean, if Andy can get creative and figure out a way to get this horse second, maybe even third over, I think Bayfield Beach is a live long shot at him. All right, race 11 is the 2. I do think the winner is going to come from in the middle. It's either going to be 3, 4, 5, or 6. It's interesting because you country, I don't think there's any doubt they're leaving. I think Instaglam, who's probably, I don't know, I think she's probably going to be the likely favorite of this race. I think she's going to float out, probably try to get in brushing range and probably try to brush towards the top. And if the race works out like that, I think this puts 5 Anoka Hanover in a bad spot. And that's really unfortunate because I really like this horse. She really rushed up into that middle half last time, and Instagram just had a lot more in the tank. Instagram got away with a 29 3 second quarter last time, and she just had too much in the tank for Anoka Hanover to get past. I think it's going to be interesting who is going to end up in the pocket of this race. I do think Instagram is going to brush to the lead. Now, it's either going to be the 3 or the 4, in my opinion, the way I think this race shapes up. And Gimme Shelter is a horse that I steadily improved, and she won from the pocket in her last start. I think there's a pretty good chance that she could end up with a very similar trip as that. And if that's the case, I think Gimme Shelter's got a shot at a little bit of a price here. Instagram showed a lot of it. And you're right about You Ought to Dream. I think this is really a race on position. And You Ought to Dream got parked out last time. I had to kind of work hard to get to the front. Where Gimme Shell a little bit more punch in the end over You Ought to Dream. But yeah, this is going to be a very entertaining race. You talk about maybe where horses like You Ought to Dream and Anoka Hanover are going to be. You Ought to Dream that lets the 3, 4, and the 6 kind of battle it out and do the damage early, and maybe she will come either first over or creep up with cover and have the freshest. Yeah, she's definitely going. She's definitely going to be valued there. I think no question about it. Race 12, and this is an interesting race. 2-year-old filly Pacers in action in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes final, and you have to watch replays. No question about it. I'm going to say this. Before you make any kind of investment or wager on this race, please do yourself a favor, Meadows, and I think that may change how you feel about this race. But I will say one thing. I thought the Beaches Calling raced very, very well last time at the Meadows. In that race, Continual was used twice. Race didn't have anything left in the tank. And Marsala Hanover, who left and got good position, get past the tired Continual. Now, this the Beaches Calling was able to follow Marsala Hanover pretty much. Those two dueled in the stretch. Marsala Hanover showed some good heart fighting off the Beaches Calling there. But this is another one of those races where I don't know a whole lot of speed here, which will play in the favor, I think, of Marsala Hanover. May play in the favor of Continual, too, if things are easier along up top. But, the Beaches Calling really impressed me that last race. And I know Dave Miller chose Blue Diamond Eyes over the Beaches Calling. And I don't know, really so sure about Blue Diamond Eyes. Grace Hill, I think, is probably the one to beat. She can race from on or off the pace. I think Dexter's going to have to put her close to the pace because I really don't see a whole lot of pace in here. But nonetheless, I think if Drew can work out some kind of trip with the Beaches Calling, I think she could be the one that can supply the value. Yeah, this race is one of those races where it's really going to depend on the trip. And I think if things are soft up top, I think Marsala Hanover and Continual, who may want to, no matter what you do, you may just want to box them to an exacta because if things are soft up top, I think they could run the table in that particular race. Let's take a look at my neck of the woods, Mr. Dowling. Harris, Philadelphia. Action coming up on Sunday. The 3-year-olds, and it's a $10,000 guaranteed pick 4 pool. So certainly conducive to fire at it. I want to mention a couple of horses in this 9th race because I have a feeling they are going to bet Allywag Hanover off the board. And Allywag Hanover is an talented, but he is one of those horses, if you go back and watch his replays, he can be very tough to settle down at times. And I think you saw that in the Meadowlands Pace Final, and I think you saw that in the Tompkins Gears, where he just really didn't want anything to do with pylons. Sometimes he just has a mind of his own, and he throws his head about and it kind of costs him punch at the end, if you know what I mean. So if Allywag Hanover could settle down and get into it, but I don't think you're going to get 7-2. I think he's going to be bet off the Wise Guy horse in here because he is just continuing to improve and step forward. Now he's got 4 straight sub 150 miles, and it just seems like he's getting better and better. And with the addition of Dexter Dunn, I think he really is sitting on a breakout race. Sand Between My Toes is very fast and very logical. But another horse I want to is Chief Mate. And I feel a lot of times this horse really has done something to make the post gods mad because, look at for 4 straight races there out of the clouds, but he has shown a very, very solid late kick. And then he left last time, was used twice. And, I thought raced well to the wire. So, I don't really think Chief Mate could win this race because once again, the odds are stacked against him with post, but boy, if you're looking for a horse to put underneath in a try and super, and maybe even I think you can get some double-digit odds on Chief Mate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this race can get interesting. I mean, from a pace point of view, because I think Sam Between My Toes, who is a little bit of a wild card in this race, I think he's got no choice but to blast out from post 7, and I think no losing is going to blast out from his inside. So this thing could really get interesting. I think this could really get hot early, and don't forget you got Cattle Wash on the pylons. He's going to want to be close to the pace. And I don't know. This could set up for perhaps a long shot. I mean, I think Lake Charles is capable if the race sets up perfectly for him. So that's an interesting race, and certainly a good one to kick off the pick 4. Race number 10. This is the 3-year-old Colton Gelding Trotters at action, and I really love Hill Exotic in here. I love, once again, you've got 2 horses on the outside, part of the entry, Gangster Hanover and EL Ideal, that just have no choice but to blast off the wings. And Amigo Volo is going to be used early, and I don't think he's going to get away with the 29 4 second quarter like he did last time. I think this sets up well for somebody that's just lingering off the pick. And if Hill Exotic can race the same exact race that he raced last time, I think he's got a real big shot to win, and I like him a lot here, Seth. Yeah, no question. I mean, and he had to move into that big third quarter last time, and Amigo Volo was able to rest on the lead, and I don't think that's going to be the case this time. I think you're probably going to see more of an effort like we saw 2 starts back, where he had to actually match his first quarter actually last time, and he tired just a little bit to finish third. I love Hill Exotic there. I may even single him in the pick 4. I don't know. I really, really like him a lot in that particular race. Year-old Philly Trotters. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and take a bit of a long shot. And I know Sister Sledge is going to be the horse that everybody's going to focus in on, and rightfully so. I mean, she's, with the exception of a tough trip in the Hambletonian Oaks and the break in the Hambletonian Elimination, then a break in the Hambo Finals, which, by the way, they put her up against the boys. Other than that, I mean, she's really had a hammerlock on this division. But, I've been watching this 50 Cent piece horse, Seth, and I've she's one of those horses that I've latched onto, and I've watched each and every one of her starts. Here's a horse, a lot of heart towards the end, and I'll even go back to this overnight event that I saw her race back on the 3rd at Harris Philly. And I know that was just an overnight event against certainly competition that's not as good as what she faces today, or what she went on to face in Pennsylvania Sire Stakes. And I know that the fractions were pedestrian race, but you know what? She showed grit and heart in that particular race. She was a beat racehorse in the stretch. Very little urging. She dug down and fought off the competition. And I thought, in terms of only the 3rd race of the year, I thought that was a really nice step up for her. And she has gone on to race well in these Pennsylvania Sire Stakes races. I think she continues to get better. She's going to have to step forward to beat Sister Sledge.